What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Force Strategy Gaming. Time for some more StarCraft 2 commentary. Today we will be taking a look at a series of games between Mouse's MorroW and EG's IdrA. Starting things off here on Metalopolis, we can see Mouse's MorroW spawning in the 3 o'clock position as our red Terran player, and then over here in the 9 o'clock we have got EG's IdrA as the green Zerg player. So yes, Zerg versus Terran, IdrA versus MorroW, game number 1 here on Metalopolis. As we can see right now, IdrA will be sending his Overlord into that close air distance position just to see if MorroW is located here. He will be moving to about this location, getting just close enough to spot if the command center is there, and then upon realizing it is not, we should see him actually change the route of that Overlord and moving him into an alternate location. Back over here for MorroW, coming off with that wall off at the front of his ramp. Now, as we can see, these guys are cross-positional in this particular game, so not spawning in a near position or in a close air distance location. This could make for a longer game. It's not a guarantee, but essentially, if you are in a near position, meaning if we have IdrA located right here, and if MorroW was located straight across, just going across this small little location over here, and then right into this position, were MorroW right here, then we could very well see a very early game, because it's very difficult for either player to take their third when you deal with near spawn locations. But again, given that they are cross-positional, it does give more breathing room for both players and make for a higher probability of some sort of a macro-focused game. Now, as we can see, IdrA has decided to come out with a 15 hatch, dropping that hatchery immediately. That spawning pool coming as soon as he gets those 200 extra minerals. He'll be dropping that down immediately. We may or may not see him come out with an extractor right after that. It's going to depend on how econ-focused he wants to play early in the game. If he does try and decide to delay that extractor, what that's going to mean is he will be droning up a lot harder, and this will allow him to just try to get a nice mineral flow early on before he starts to make that transition into Vespian gas, allowing him to tech up. The other option, of course, is if he comes out with that extractor a little earlier, he can get that metabolic boost, and with that, use his Zerglings early on to get a bit of map control and possibly even harass a little bit. Now back over here inside of the main base of MorroW, we can see right now he's actually got that full wall off now, so he is going to be able to prevent IdrA from being able to get any scouting done, but actually lifting off that Rax, that is going to let the drone move right on up. Impeccable timing there. IdrA managed to get right on in. He will be scouting out the fact that that factory is coming on through. He will also be spotting, okay, there's only one refinery, so IdrA getting all of that scouting intel that he needs. Not entirely sure. Yes, it does look like MorroW has also gotten a scout of IdrA's main base, so MorroW also knows exactly what IdrA is doing. Now, IdrA will be losing that drone. There's really nothing he can do to save it at this point. He might try to actually juke the Marine and try to make his way back to the front of the base, but not really sure how likely that is to happen. And look at that, IdrA with a little bit of fancy footwork there, able to actually get that extractor down, preventing the Marine from killing off the drone, at least for a little short while. Back over here, SCV Scout still going on for MorroW. Now, is IdrA going to cancel this off and try to keep dropping it? That's kind of the question here. We'll be interested to see if he decides to let the extractor finish all the way through, or if he tries. No, look at that. Extractor does finish completely. SCV Scout gets taken out by the Queen. I'm not even sure right now. We've got 2 Zerglings coming through, and that is going to be it. So IdrA deciding to just use 2 Zerglings early on, will not be coming out with any more than that whatsoever. We're going to be seeing a Hellion opening here from MorroW, moving out with those Hellions to get some map control. We'll also see that expansion coming on out for him as well. Back over here for IdrA, we do have 1 spine crawler coming on through. Again, IdrA was able to get some scouting information, so he doesn't know what to expect. He saw the fact that that reactor was building, so he should be fully expecting these Hellions to be moving on now. And actually, with these early game Hellions, we will be seeing map control going to MorroW, and not a whole lot that IdrA is going to be able to do about that. He has got 6 Zerglings total in play right now. He's droning up pretty hard, as we can see, and just now also starting that metabolic boost. So it will be a while until he's got those Speedlings in play. With these 2 spine crawlers, though, he should be more than adequately defended against just these 2 Hellions. In fact, it does not look like there will be any more. We've got 4 Hellions total, so there's another 2 back over here that did just pop out, but just those 4 Hellions. And besides that, it does appear to be the case that MorroW is now preparing that transition into Marine Tank. We can see that stim pack research coming on out. Actually, no, never mind. There's a reactor coming out over here for MorroW. So MorroW's factory will be coming out with a reactor, not immediately going into Marine Tank, or possibly just holding off that tank production, wants to get that reactor up a little bit sooner to pump out those double Marines a little bit harder. We'll have to wait and see if there's any hot swap that does take place with that. But here we go right now. MorroW moving down to his expansion, getting that saturated right now, pulling down with a few SCVs. That got me a little bit wild until he actually gets it fully saturated. Only a few SCVs moving on down right now. And again, those Hellions with the map control. Again, until those Zerglings have that metabolic boost, and they just did get it now. But up until that point, they're really not standing much of a chance. Don't really have any opportunity to be able to get that map control without that. All right, so a Baneling Nest coming through for IdrA right now. We also have that stim pack research almost finished for MorroW. Now, is MorroW going to plan any sort of timing push? And there it is. Was trying to figure out exactly where that reactor was going. It looks like it was going straight onto that starport, allowing for that double medevac production. We do have one Zergling moving forward, scouting out MorroW's expansion. Nice little wall off here with these supply depots. A couple of Hellions moving across the map, trying to catch the Zergling, but with that speed, the Zergling is able to actually make it away without getting caught there by those Hellions. Some creep spread going on right now for IdrA. Now again, IdrA has scouted out that expansion. The question is now, will he be moving into his third anytime soon, or is he going to hold off and just stick to the two bases for the moment? Now the layer is up. We have got that Spire coming out here for IdrA. A couple of Hellions, again, just dancing around, just checking that third, and they will be barely missing as IdrA just now moving down with the drone, dropping the hatchery here at his third expansion. So the Hellions there of MorroW just barely missing the fact that IdrA was dropping that third. Spire 50% of the way finished. Engineering bay almost out right now for MorroW. Looks like MorroW is prepared to do some drop harass. Moving down with two medevacs completely filled with Marines, and hopefully he does maintain map control and prevent those Zerglings from actually scouting out, and it looks like he may have. I do not believe that IdrA is aware of the fact, so here we go. Here comes the drop. IdrA pulling back a little bit with those speedlings, and here we go right now. Marines dropping onto the high ground. Now do keep in mind, we've got stim pack here. We've got a couple of Hellions down here as well. You need to be very, very careful about these Banelings, and here it comes. Time to split up those Marines as much as possible. Lots of splash damage. MorroW just not able to micro as much as needed there and took some pretty hefty losses as a result. Taking a look there, we can see MorroW is slightly behind IdrA right now in terms of resources lost. That engagement actually proved to be pretty well for IdrA. It certainly could have been much, much more devastating, but IdrA didn't end up losing too much as a result of that drop. And MorroW is actually continuing up this push right now, moving out with a few more Marines. We'll be pushing out into the third of IdrA, and let's see how IdrA is able to respond. He does have a few units right down here. We've got a couple of Speedlings and Banelings, and they're actually moving across the map, but immediately upon spotting this push coming, he's going to be pulling back right now. He needs to deal with this, pulling forward with those Speedlings. We've got some Banelings coming up, lots of damage already down on that hatch. Speedlings getting a full surround, those Hellions getting mopped up by those Banelings, forced to lift off with those Marines. But here come the Mutalisks. Mutalisks making their way into play right now. There is just the one Muta, though, so I'm not entirely convinced that he has to start this dropping that he's doing with those Marines. But now that more and more Mutas are coming up, he's really got no choice. So just dropping down the Marines, trying to do a little bit of damage, hopefully get a few more kills, and then that is it. So unfortunately, that drop harass was cut short due to those Mutalisks just popping out there for IdrA. All right, so we do expect IdrA to keep up this harass right now. Time to actually counter and try to hit MorroW. Now, MorroW is just getting up those turrets. We got a couple of Marines actually protecting the production there of those two turrets. One SCV got sniped, but there is still that one remaining. That will finish the production of that turret and then continue to work down on that one. Actually, no, it looks like we need an entirely new SCV to start finishing, to finish building up that missile turret. That's certainly interesting enough. Couple turrets also placed over here, and again with this turret placement he should be pretty adequately defended against the small amount of mutas early on. We can see IdrA will be sticking to that muta production right now. He's not transitioning into some more Speedlings or anything fancy like that. He just really wants to work up those muta numbers, try to get out a strong force to allow him to pick and prod and harass as much as possible. And again, we'll be seeing a whole lot of this Marines completely surrounding those tanks to try to defend them against muta harass as much as possible, actually spreading out a little bit with those Marines to defend against muta harass here at the expansion. We do have a planetary coming out over here. Very wise decision by MorroW, most certainly. A fourth expansion also coming out for IdrA. IdrA working his way up into infestors as well. You can see that infestation pit coming on through. IdrA trying to actually move in and snipe those tanks, but unfortunately unable to do so. There are just far too many Marines, and actually Marines stimming up will be forcing those Mutalisks back, and MorroW moving back to the healing power of those medevacs. So here we go, IdrA again continuing to really work up those strong muta numbers. One more about to pop. He's already got 21, so we'll be sitting on a total of 22, and we're starting to see some corruptors come into play. So now that this infestation pit is up, I wouldn't be too surprised if we saw that hive sometime very shortly. And again, keep in mind, IdrA is working his way into that third. That is just about to pop right now. He's also got some air unit upgrades coming on through. You can see the level 2 flyer attacks working in, also the level 2 ground attacks. And here comes that Hive Tech moving in with this mass amount of mutas, actually taking out those 2 turrets, and then going straight for that tank, right? Going straight for the factory there to stop that tank production. Gets it burning, isn't able to pick it off though, so very close. And actually confident to move in with those mutas against that small amount of Marines, just tearing through them. He has just got so many mutalists, and now it is time to finish off that factory. There are not enough Marines anywhere near here, and actually lifting off that factory, trying to bide a little more time, trying to get it as close to those Marines as possible. Is he going to finish it off this time? The factory is burning, but I'm not sure he's going to be able to finish it. We should see some SCVs pull on down to repair that, and yeah, that doesn't look like that is going to be a problem. He gets the repair off just in the nick of time, so unfortunately for IdrA, try as he might, wasn't able to take out that factory at all. No counter harass has been taking place either for MorroW. I know that mutas are on the board, but you still do have to attempt to harass, trying to move out with medevacs at some point. Again, the mutas cannot be everywhere at once, so trying that harassment at all at any point is certainly something that is necessary, because if he just lets IdrA macro up, he's going to be in a pretty difficult position. He's going to have a very difficult time as IdrA works his way into the late game and is sitting on 4+ bases, and you can actually see right now IdrA preparing an attack, lots and lots of speedlings and banelings, and then also moving out with all these mutas. We also have that upgrade coming out right now in those adrenal glands. That, of course, is going to be for those Zerglings, making them that much more effective in combat. Pulling back right now, is he dealing with some drop harass or anything like that, or is he just deciding not to engage? I don't see any sort of harass going on, so he's actually just pulling back with his forces, deciding he wants to wait a little bit longer. He's getting very, very near supply cap. In fact, taking a look here, you can see IdrA at 102 army supply as opposed to just the 88 of MorroW, and IdrA is preparing to move actually into the main base, and he is going straight for that factory again. But take a look at this giant force moving across the mini-map there for MorroW, and it looks like IdrA finally able to take out that factory just as a Thor pops out. MorroW able to get that out just in time, but here comes the push right now from MorroW. Now we need those Speedlings and Banelings to push on forward with those mutas, and here it comes. Speedlings getting us around, Banelings moving on in. Mutas will be taking out those tanks. Some very nice Marine splitting there from MorroW, keeping a lot of those Marines alive through that engagement, but there aren't a ton left in all honesty. IdrA should have enough mutas to engage that. He wants to hold off though because those Stim Marines are so effective. Look at that fungal growth. That's going to help a ton, taking out a lot of those Marines. IdrA forced to cancel off the hatch there at that high yield expansion. We have a sensor tower over here at the third for MorroW. That's going to allow him to see if any other pushes come towards that third. We can also see another expansion getting dropped over here for IdrA. MorroW pushing back to the safety of those Thors. He's got 1 tank remaining. Yeah, just that 1 tank. 2 more just about to pop though. IdrA redropping that high yield expansion, and he is prepared to keep up this harass, getting ready to move right into the main base. What do we have for protection? Pretty much just those missile turrets. There aren't any Thors or anything like that sitting in the main, and actually another perspective push right now from MorroW. He's sitting at the center of the map. He does have control of the Xel'Naga tower, so he can see the fact that IdrA has dropped that high yield expansion again, and it looks like he'll be stimming up with a few Marines and preparing to push forward. Lots and lots of upgrades coming out right now for MorroW. He's working his way up to level 3 weapons. We have got a few infestors over here getting ready to drop those fungals. Speedlings mopping up everything there, getting a full surround. Some very nice fungals. Muta's moving in over there. Needs to be careful about those Thors though, and looks like IdrA able to overwhelm MorroW, doing a lot of damage. Muta's moving in to mop up the small amount of forces left for MorroW. Now, IdrA did also take some pretty hefty losses there. You can see overall they're about even at the moment. 1 Marine scouting out IdrA's expansion over in this position. Very interestingly enough, of course, because this is technically MorroW's half of the map, but based on their spawn locations, it's a pretty gutsy move what IdrA's doing. If nothing else, though, he's going to be sucking up some of these minerals so that if MorroW eventually does take this out and expands here, he will have that much less in terms of resources to possibly gather from. That's kind of part of the reason behind doing that. Again, it's very likely that he will be losing this. It looks like, yes, these Marines pushing up will be enough, but IdrA just trying to take away some of these resources over here so that, again, once MorroW does eventually move on into this expansion, he just does not have that much possible resources to pull from. Alright, so what is going on? Any sort of additional harass? We've got patrol going on over here for IdrA that will be used to intercept any possible medevac, any drop harass that we might be seeing from MorroW. Lots of Speedlings actually moving down, trying to intercept the forces over here. There's a few tanks though, and actually getting a complete surround on these tanks. We'll be able to take them out, no problem. We've got some reinforcements here from MorroW, but IdrA prepared to pull back right now. IdrA doing a pretty decent job trying to harass and delay the expansions for MorroW. We can take a quick look at the income tab. I do expect IdrA to be significantly ahead, and yes, he is. We can see right now IdrA with a mining base over here, and here comes that transition, the late game transition into Broodlords. This is going to be a major issue for MorroW unless he's got enough Vikings, and right now he has got 0. Just starting that Viking production, also getting some Ghosts to try to get some snipes on those Broodlords and EMPs on those Infestors, but right now with Broodlords in play, this could be a very strong position for IdrA. The Broodlords constantly harassing this expansion, and we're seeing those repairs from MorroW. The problem is that repairing costs resources, so IdrA with these Broodlords doing a fairly decent job, actually able to force a lift off here at this high yield, and again, more mining woes here for MorroW. He just does not have the income that he's going to need to deal with IdrA's push that's coming up. Got a few more Infestors moving down. Now, the only thing that I can think of is if IdrA can take out those Broodlords, get some snipes down, and also get some EMPs on those Infestors, then he might stand a chance. But it's going to be pretty tough because here we go, IdrA preparing for the push. A couple of Speedlings actually patrolling over here, and here we come. A couple of snipes going down on those Broodlords. He doesn't have enough Ghosts, though. Fungal Growths on the Vikings, preventing them from doing too much damage. We do need a little bit more in terms of Fungal Growth action, though. The Broodlords doing what they can, and actually there's only one Viking left. Corruptors, unfortunately, not able to take out that last one. Hopefully we get, yeah, there we go, some Infested Terrans. That should be used to take out the Vikings. Some Speedlings and Banelings moving up. MorroW bringing everything that he's got. We still have a few Infestors, and there are some more Vikings in play, though. These Broodlords getting quickly taken out, and IdrA's push has been denied now by MorroW. And I don't know, MorroW seemed to take a lot of damage there as well, but IdrA, as you can see, losing absolutely everything. Didn't have enough anti-air there, unfortunately, to deal with the Vikings from MorroW. We do have some more Broodlords about to pop, still patrolling Speedlings over here, delaying and or preventing any expansions from MorroW. MorroW still just on the 3 bases, economically quite a bit behind, and this is, as we go further and further down into the later stages of the game, this is going to be a bigger and bigger advantage for IdrA, because this huge income advantage is allowing him to continue to tech up pretty hard and afford such as these 5 Infestors, Corruptors, more of them coming out, and again just completely re-upping his Broodlord force. Now we still do have a lot of Vikings, but there are some Corruptors to try to counteract that, and Speedlings pushing back all these Marines and Ghosts. There's a full surround. Corruptors taking out those Vikings. That is priority numero uno, and again with that strong economy, IdrA able to quickly re-up his army and overwhelm MorroW in that second push. All right, my friends, that was game number 1 here between IdrA and MorroW. We will be moving into game 2 in just one moment. As always, if you like the content, please subscribe. Thank you for watching. Keep watching and keep owning.